Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to my channel, Endless Rose. This is Cup of Hot Joe coming to you from the old coffee house. Let me ask you something, just on my mind. Are you looking for a relationship? Have you been thinking about trying the online dating apps? Well, it seems it's a very popular way of meeting people, especially for the Generation Z and Generation Y. I myself am the baby boom generation, but anyway, that's the people between 23 and 45. They're the ones who use the dating app the most, and then from 45 to 55. The rest of them is either too young or too old that they haven't even used the internet yet. Now I'm wondering, how's the dating scene coming for you? You know, for me, I've been on it for 6 years, and it's been quite a venture. Anyway, I'm really interested about your story, so could you please leave your story in the bottom of the comment, and I'll get back to you on that, and any answers you want from me. And while you're down there, could you please hit the like and subscribe button? That way I can make more videos like this and make better content for you. Well, today there's over 1,500 major date sites now on the internet. That sounds like a lot, but actually there's almost 6,000 that's not major. Half of those are not really date sites, they're just scam sites where you pay your money and somebody gets on there and pretends to be a person on the other side and says, hey, why don't you buy a like from me, a star, buy fake flowers or something, and you send the money in and the company just keeps it. Because they hired call centers and for answering the phone, and they hired models to put up the pictures. Well, anyway, there's a lot of groups out there, on the internet. Good thing about dating online, you can find whatever you want there. If you say, hey, I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community, they have a date site for each one of those little letters there. If you're into like race, you're like, oh wow, I find the Asian girls really hot, or the South African girls. Maybe you like the Eastern European girls, or who knows, the Native Americans or the Latin girls. Well, there's a site for you there too, You can do things like Asian Cupid, AsianDating.com, Black People Meet, Black Couples, Euro Couple, Cupid, and UkraineDating.com. Anyway, I'm going to put up here in a second some pictures that so you can see, the top 20 sites. Now, those are going to be the ones you have the most success with, but they're going to be full of dangers too. Like, let's say on average, 49% of them, like I said before, are going to be fake profiles. And they're going to have these fake profiles on every site because they're going to try to maximize their money. Also, 45% of them are going to have them soliciting stuff from you by sending you indecent pictures. Now, most of the people who are the scam of this are women, men sending it to women. 25 of them will get sexual harassment online, or they're going to be threatened. 8% of them will be some type of identity theft, which happened to me. And women will be reporting this about 22% of the time, and about 11% of the people on there will be threatened with physical harm. Now, you know that most of these scams happen, only the women report it, and that's only 22%, and the men, they don't report anything. That's why these scammers can get away with so much. Now, I myself have been a victim of many scams online. I've been on several date sites, and probably the one that I would not recommend, even though it's the easiest to use, is Date in Asia. It's about 80% scam. It's very hard to find anybody on that site. But anyway, here is a list of the 20 top people that, 20 top profile pictures that you should look at. Now let's get into the scams. Now scams can be either male or female. Mostly the scams I've seen have been overseas, but there's scammers here in America too. Now, some of these scams are minor and they don't involve money, but they still affect you one way or the other. And then there's some that involve money and some that actually could lead up to financial ruin and or death. Okay, the first scam I would say that's the least important is just the fake picture scam. This is where you go online, you see somebody, and they say they're 24 years old, and they have all these beautiful pictures of them on there, and you're like, oh wow, it's nice. And you just waste your time. You're sitting there and you're talking to them for like 4 or 5 months, and you agree to meet, but they don't want to meet, so you say you're going to break it off. So when you finally meet them, they're not the person that was on the picture or the profile. This person may look 20 years older. Maybe they Photoshop. Maybe they so they can look younger, or they just got a younger family member to post a picture of them, or they just stole another person's picture right off the line somewhere, so you don't know who they are. Now, really, no harm is done. If you still want to be with that person, that's fine. But if not, you already know one thing, that they're not going to be honest with you because they couldn't be honest on their profile at the beginning. Now, the next scam is not as bad, but maybe a little bit, but they're the posers. They're the ones who go on online pretending to be somebody or something that they're not. And no matter how many times you ask to meet in real life, they will not do that because their whole life online is a lie compared to their real life. They really didn't want to take a real relationship because maybe they're insecure with their life, or maybe they're not sociable type of person. Now, sad to say, I have a few friends that still do this. They work at a job, but online they travel to 7 seas. They say that they are a sea captain. They are a military person over in Afghanistan, or fighting Ukraine as a freedom fighter. You know, just on and on and on. You know, stockbroker. I literally had this guy named Donnie, and he was online in Oklahoma. He came down to stay with Oklahoma because he had nowhere to live, stuff like that. But online, he was a finance person, and he had a real estate business and a insurance business. And he would meet these people up, and he would get dressed up, and he would meet them at a shop like the coffee shop here. But then he would just not take them any farther than that. For him, it was important to keep the fantasy alive more than actually have a relationship. Now, personally, I've been traveling a lot myself. I have friends all over the world, in Korea, China, Europe, East, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. And what I'm going to tell next is a pretty sad story. And this is the one that it gets a little bit more involved into the scam. And this is the one that was kind of false with the thing about being a fake person. I have two friends. They're both ladies. One lived in the Philippines here in northern Manila, and the other one was working as a overseas worker in China. Now, the first one here in Manila, she met a guy online and promised to come and visit her. You know, they had a relationship, but this relationship strung out for 4 years, and he always had some reason why he couldn't show up. And she was kind of heartbroken, and she was talking to me at the same time, and I told her I was in Wisconsin. She goes, well, that's where he's from, and found out I was in the same town. Well, I said, where does he work? And it says, well, he works as the general manager of Walmart. I'm like, well, that should be easy to find him. There's only a few Walmarts in this town. And she actually told me what Walmart it was. I went in, I asked for the general manager. Lo and behold, it wasn't him. He wasn't the general manager. He wasn't assistant manager. He wasn't department manager. And he wasn't the lead in any spot. He was there. He was the stalker at night. And I actually went in there to talk to him. And he said that he don't tell her. He goes that she's a stalker. I said, well, she probably wouldn't mind. I mean, she lives over here in the Philippines. You still make pretty good income, and he's like, oh, I don't plan to ever go see her. I can't afford that. So I said, he goes, don't tell her. But I promptly told her because what he's doing is stealing her life from her. She could have moved on. She wasted 4 years on a man that never planned on coming to see her. Same with my friend who had a relationship for 7 years, and unfortunately for her, she's still in this thing. She was dating a guy. She was only 16, and she got on a date site, too young, and she met this guy, and he's supposed to be a doctor, and he's like 20 years older than her at the time, and she's chatting with him, and I'm like, so he has never come to see you? He goes, I keep asking him, he just got a project. He keeps having a reason, some reason why I can't do this, right? So then I said, well, tell him this. Tell him that if he don't come to see you when he promised the next time, you're going to find somebody else. Well, he showed up there. He said he's a doctor and all that stuff. And I remember she was 16. She's still a virgin. I was going to say a virgin. And he took her. He went back, and then didn't come back. He had some excuse. He got angry when she was doing that. And I'm up in Canada. I'm clear by Thunder Bay, north of Lake Superior there. And he was not too far. He was in the next town over. He's supposed to be in a hospital there. There ain't no hospital in that town. There's a health clinic and a nursing home. He was a cleaner at the nursing home. No doctor, no nothing like this. Here again, doing the fantasy thing online. And that was his thing. He was hooking up with girls like her, and he showed up to the place. And so I promptly told her that he was not a doctor and all this stuff. But she said it didn't matter, that she was going to marry him anyway. And he promised to meet her in China 6 months from then. It didn't happen. Another 6 months went by. Now it's been 7 years going 8. He's not going to meet her. He's using this fake profile to be somebody else, and he's just hooking up with young girls where he can find them. She's the one got scammed. Now, all of these I just said are pretty sad, but it's just lost of time. But now let's get into the money scam. And I'll use a family member that I have here because this is in America. My brother was on the dating scene when it first started out. He met several girls, and they all were like bothering him for money right off the bat. And they weren't nothing to win her. But then he ended up finding this girl. Actually, she found him. Told him she liked him. First, I thought it was a scam. Then I didn't think it was a scam. Then I found out it was a scam because my brother he was up in his 50s, and she's like 24, and she literally looked like a model. She could have been a model. So I thought it was just like somebody stole the picture offline. But then he met her on a date. Sure enough, she was her. She looked very well-to-do, like the upper class, dressed well mannered. And she took him on 2 dates, in some, middle class restaurant, and she paid. Then she asked for him, the third date, she asked about this real Pacific One restaurant to go to. So she wanted him to come to that restaurant. So when they went to that restaurant, they sit there and they have dinner, and it got time to pay, and he motioned for the bring the receipt. The lady got up and she left to use the comfort room for the woman, But she turned around and said, "Well, I'm going. Let's go ahead and pay. Give me your debit card." So he passed the debit card. Said, "Oh, what is the pin, just in case I need it?" And he left. She left. She went there. She went to the comfort room. We don't know really what happened. And she come back. She sat down. She had a pleasant little conversation with him, and then they went off. And then she never seen him again. Now, what I failed to say, and there was through this several dates, she got a lot of information out of him. And a week went by, and he didn't see her anymore again. So he went to the date site, and her profile was gone. Most likely, she had him blocked, but we're not for sure about that. And he got a call from the bank saying that his bank account was empty and it was overdraft by $350. That's quite a bit of cash there. And what we figured what happened is on the date she was took the card. She either was working with the people that was in there and made a copy of the card, or she just herself took the pen and the stuff and information, had another card added to it, or she just uh, somehow was able to use it without the card. But anyway, in the long run, he was out of $10,000, and he had to change a lot of stuff because we don't know what else he was able to get from her. I mean, her from him. Now we're going to get into the identity theft part of it. The identity theft happened to me. Now, this also happened in America, though. I was dating online, and I met this girl, and she was a really nice Latino lady who came to America to be a nurse. At least what she told me. And I was working, and I'm a single father of 4 kids. So every once in a while, I have to take my kids for their medical checkup. And I told her that on a certain day I couldn't go anywhere because I had to go on this medical checkup with my kid. Well, that day she called me and said she wanted to go out with me. I said, "Well, I got a medical thing with my kids." He goes, "Oh, I'll help you with that." So we take them to the checkup, do a full checkup on them, like their 6 month checkup. And she comes along, she's a very sweet lady. And I had to go to the CR, and I guess that's when it happened. She's there, she's with the paperwork, she got my kids there. I come back out, and the kids are done with their thing. And she says, "Hey, I got to go. I got called. I got to go into the hospital to work." I'm like, "Okay." And I grabbed my envelope and my paperwork and kids' medical cards and go home. At least I think they're in there, I didn't check. Why would I check? I know they were in there, 6 months down the road, my son gets sick. By the way, the lady just somehow disappeared. And I take him to the hospital, and they said, "Your insurance was denied." I says, "Denied?" So I'm calling up the insurance company, and they're saying, "Well, I was denied because all the medical problems that I did not disclose my sons had." So what medical problems? Well, they have lupus, they have hepatitis C, they have this and that. They've been into 7 different hospitals. They were in 7 different hospitals, and they always had over 40 different visits. So, do you know what the scam was? Okay, they took my kids' medical cards and medical IDs and all the information that they had in the paperwork, right? And she was selling it to the people who were sneaking into America and and selling it for a cheap price to people, the card, so they can use it. So I had to go to the insurance company, find out what thing. I still was unhooked for it all, but I was able to get new medical cards and all that and stop the fraud, but not before it caused some big trouble, and I had a hard time getting my son's medicine. So now let's be talking to you about the blackmail scale. The blackmail scale is the same. It happened to me too. I met this lady online, and she was had 3 kids. She was from Angeles City, in the Philippines, and she told me that her husband went to work overseas, met another person, and filed for divorce from her, and started a new family, and she was struggling with her kids. She seemed like a nice person, first 2 months, just chatting, never asked for anything. And then it's with small stuff at first, Can she get book bags for her kid? She needed some money to enroll them to school. And it just slowly involved the stuff. And I told her I couldn't do that anymore. Then she told me she needs $100 to pay her rent and $60 to pay her electric bill. And I told her, well, I told you my rule. I don't fork out a lot of cash to somebody until I meet them. She goes, that's okay. I love you, honey. And then next thing you know, she asked me if I want to see a sexy picture. And she sent me a picture of her in the brow. Then she showed me a picture with her out of the brow. And then she showed me lots of pictures without it. And then she goes, when am I going to send mine? I said, well, I don't do that. I'm an old person. Why would you want to see me anyway? And she was all upset and said that I was fake and all this stuff. So I sent her a picture of me in my underwear, right? Biggest mistake of my life. She told me the next day that she needed 2,000 American dollars for stuff, and if I didn't send it to her, she's going to show my picture to the church I go to. She's going to send it to my place of work. She was going to send it to my family members, and there was a whole list of places where she's going to send it to. And I told her that, I don't believe her, and that why would she want to do something like that? And I don't have that money. I said, I'm a single father of 4 kids. So what does she do? She sent it to my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter. She sent a picture of it. And she told me next that if it didn't happen soon, that with the money, that the next place would be the church. So I quickly deleted the site. And I also deleted my Facebook account because I added her to that. And I actually deleted everything because I was so scared. I didn't know anything about how to protect yourself. So I had to start another Facebook, and I got a little bit wiser this time. I didn't add anybody from the date site to it. Now, next is the sick picture site where they person you're dating says, hey, you know what? I have a sick person here or a dying person, and if I don't get something right away to save them, this happened to me. I get a girl supposed to be single, and her husband passed away, and she was left with a child at 5 years old when he died. Well, she's saying how sweet she is, but she says she has a medical condition that if she don't have medicine, that she won't make it. It's $500 a month. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. And then a few weeks later, she sends me this picture and said, oh my God, my daughter's dying right now. If I don't get the money, and she sent me this picture, and her face was horrible. It looked like the person from the movie Elephant Man, just blew up like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I rushed down real quick to Western Union. I sent her $500 US dollars to buy the medicine. And then within 12 hours later, she sent a picture. She said, oh, but I don't want you to tell nobody because I'm embarrassed. Well, I have a couple friends in that town, Angel City, right? She's also from Angel City. And they're laughing. I'm like, what's so funny? She said, oh, she got you too. So, she got about 12, 13 people. They sent her $500 a month. They're living really well. I said, you mean she's running a scam? Goes, yeah, her and her husband. I said, husband? She's married? He goes, yeah, she's married. This is what they do. They came up with this idea when their daughter got the mumps, and when it was really bad, they didn't do anything. They wanted to get some good pictures. They took pictures of her sick like that, and they tell her when they meet somebody online, and then they say it's bad, and they show the picture, and they scam the person to get money. So there's the sick picture scam. But the only good thing about from that is that she did write me back and said I spelled her name wrong, and Western Union was not giving her the money. Now, I promptly went back and pulled back the money and told her that if her daughter is really sick, take yourself to the Red Cross down there and have them diagnose it, and I will call them and find out if she really is. I never heard from her again. So as you see, I've seen a lot in the last 6 years and become much more wiser. And actually, I found my wife through these date sites, and she's been my wife now for 3 years. But I have learned how to deal with these scams, and I have put in safety precautions so that I don't get scammed again. So better than just sitting here telling you about the 2,000 times I did get scammed, I'm going to tell you what I did to protect yourself. Now that's the most important thing here, is to make sure that you're safe online on your search for your future partner. First and foremost, the most important thing is do not use your real name on a date site or your address or any information that would lead you back to exactly where you're at. And the reason for this is a lot of these people on there, if you're using your real name, they will go to social media sites to look you up, and that way they're off the site where there's any protection. Make a new social media site for your dating. Remember the first story I told you, right? Okay, well, not only that happened, but they once they got on my site, they start trying to extract money from my friends and family. So make sure you always start a new social media site in a different name, and you use that just for that. That way, if there's any thought of foul play, it's limited to that site only. Make sure you verify who they are. Ask them for their media site right off the bat. And if they can't provide it, then they're most likely a scammer, because anybody under 55 has some type of social media trail out there. And once you get it, make sure, this is number 3, make sure that you check their social site background history, okay? And go back as far as you can. I don't care if it takes you a month of reading it, translating it, or what. You won't believe how many scammers I have caught this way. How many 40-year-old virgins out there who actually turn out to be ladies of the night, and how I found out how they scam people out of their homes, buying them things, sending them money. At the same time, they're out here working at night as a prostitute. Now, this one here might sound like what scammers do, but it also will help you. Whenever you make a site, make 2 of them. If you have a dating site, start another dating site on that same spot, different name, and especially when you have that profile. Remember, you're supposed to make 2 Facebook, 2 Instagrams, one for you, one for the date site. That way, this is why. A lot of people will tell you everything you want to know. You ask them what type of person they are, and they say, what type of person do you look for? And they become that. Okay, well, here's where you catch them. When they decide that they want to have a permanent relationship with you, and you plan to book a plane flight there, and you don't know if they're actually talking to somebody else. They might be making plans with other people too. So what you do is you take the other date site and you send them a message. Say, hey, I see you, da da da. You know, you don't use your face, use another person's face. Get a friend, a good-looking friend. Or if you have to, just take a stock photos that they have on the internet, put it on there. Same things that the scammers do, right? You scam them right back. And you send them a message, say, hey, how's it going? You know, I'd like to meet you. I'm coming at this time. You put it down the same time that you're supposed to show up there. Watch them. They'll say, oh, no, you can't come this time. You better go some other time. I got a few people like that where they actually were there, and I had what supposed to be my future wife uh, on these sites send nude pictures to the other people. Now, I don't know if y'all ever heard about this, but there is a Department of Records in almost every country. Now, you know, a lot of these girls said they're not married, but they are. Or they say they have a degree or something like that. There's really easy. It might cost you a few bucks, but call the Department of Records, find out if they're really married. Because a lot of these countries, divorce is pretty hard to get. In the Philippines, it's totally impossible. And so if they tell you into divorce or they're and that, don't believe them, especially if they say annulment, because annulment takes 10 years and more money than they could probably make in about 10 years. So call the Department of Justice and find out if they're really married. And if you find out they lied to you on that, they're going to lie to you about other things too. Now here, the seventh one, but it's more not of a protection thing, but in a way it is. It's be straight up about everything that you want. Okay, you may lose a few of the girls out there, but come on, you know you don't want to have a headache being yoked to the wrong horse that's pulling the wagon. You know what I mean? Let's put it this way: there's almost 8 billion people in the world. 3,900,000,000 of those are female. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Okay, so if you say something that's what you want, you know, you have your priorities, and you stick to them. And if they can't, there's always somebody else that's willing to. And one of them, these things is until you two are together, you tell them you're not going to save no money, no matter if they tell you that their grandmother is dying, you know, their house burnt down, you need someone to help build it up, cash. No, not until you two are in a physical relationship, living under the same house, do you send them money. And if they demand it, it's a deal breaker. Yeah, if you plan to live in their country, right? This is the country that you plan on moving to. Uh, well, don't change your mind on that. Tell them, be straight up about it at the beginning. It's going to be a deal breaker. If you want to live in that country and she hounds you day and night that she needs to come to America, it's better, and that your plans are not that smart, find another person. Find somebody that's willing to live with you. Now, I know I'm not going to get some disagreement on this last one, but hey, sometimes truth hurts. Don't marry the extremely poor person here because there's where you're going to get most of your scammers at. You think about yourself. Most of these girls, a lot of these girls go become ladies of the night because it's the only way they can make a living. So you don't think they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear? And their family too. Or sometimes their family's the ones who are putting it up there. Find yourself a foreigner, pull yourself out of poverty. You know what? That sounds really nice and great. But the problem is, it never happens. You don't pull them out of poverty, but most likely they drag you down, you lose all your money. I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but it was on another YouTube thing. I watched this guy, and he came to the Philippines, and he had all this money, and he met himself a girl, and she had about fourth grade education. Her family was extremely poor. They're living in the squatter area. Squatter is the homeless village. And he came there and he built a house and he started a business, and they basically tore up the house. The guy lost the business and they threw him out. And he was living on the beach, starving to death. So some of the YouTubers here got together and got money to send him back home. But the thing is this: if a person never had a budget in their life, don't even know what a budget is, never had any money in their life, how do you think you're going to solve that? You can't throw enough money at it to make it go away. If you gave that person $1,000 a month, it's going to be gone in a week. So don't yoke yourself with somebody that's with you. Now, how are you going to have a conversation with that person, right? You're a man who's traveling the world, and you're dating a woman who probably never came out of her village. Now, number 10 is one that should be smart for anybody who should realize this. Don't run off and get married as soon as you get here. I mean, you might say, oh, yes, I love you. I'm going to marry you when I get there. And then you get married and you find out that everything she said to you is a lie, or her family is here to get their hands in you. This is what you do. You come here, get here a couple of days before, don't meet her at the airport, get yourself established. And then you meet her, and then you say you're going to date for a while, and don't let them bully you into getting married, or they say, well, if you don't marry me now, I'm going to go find somebody else. Well, let them go find somebody else, because if they were so easy to find somebody else, they wouldn't be just throwing a complaint about you. It's going to be a lot easier for you to find somebody else. But you need that year, or not longer. Well, I prefer, if I had to do it again, I would put 2 years on it, the date, because it's not just her that's the scammer. It's her family or her extended family. They're all looking for you to support them. And you might see what online, but until you live with them, then you will find out. And somebody might be able to keep up a mask on of who they really are for about 6 months. But after that, you're going to be able to start seeing the signs of what's really going on. Now, to get to the end of, this sounds like a lot to do, but hey, it's your life. And you're talking about you're looking for a woman that you can live with for the rest of your life. Now, do you really want to take a chance on that? Just put all that I have put on this thing to work, Get your second phone, start your second site. Don't get in such of a hurry to get married. You follow these simple steps, your chances of finding a decent woman, a lifelong partner, is going to be a lot better. Now, everything that I just said, if I could go back in time, I probably would not even go on the dating side at all. Now that I've been to these other countries, and it's like, if a foreigner comes to America, you take a beautiful girl, she comes to America, she's something different. Everybody's interested in her. But you're the same way. If I had it before, I would come here. I'll still have my 2 phones, my different dating sites, but not dating sites, social media sites. And I would probably just start doing it the old-fashioned way again, Go into malls, go into the McDonald's, stuff like that. Go to churches if you're into the religious girl, and start there. One of the things that I would do, and I actually did it here, even along with this stuff, is I made business cards. Now, I don't have a business per se, but I was doing the construct work. But even if you're a worker, if you're a chef, if you're a construction person that works in labor, just make a nice little business card. And on that business card, you have your second dating site email address where they can email you. You have your second phone number, which the dating site on there for dating. And you have all that on there. Very nice business card, and you pass it out. And you're going to have lots of girls. And the thing is if these girls are working, they're not out here trying to scam people. So you're ahead of the curve right there. But if you want to do date on site, these are the things you have to do. Well, I can see that time clock's getting close to dinner time, and my wife Janice probably got dinner ready. So I'm going to have to get on out of here. This is Cup of Joe. I'll talk to you next time if the creeks don't rise between my place and yours. We'll see you again, okay? You take